In this lesson, we will add signed decimals on the number line as well as use the formal rules shown below. For the first example, we have negative 1 and 7 tenths plus negative 8 tenths. Using the number line to model negative 1 and 7 tenths, we start at 0 and move left 1 and 7 tenths units. Notice we are closer to negative 2 than negative 1. And then because we're adding negative 8 tenths, we move 8 tenths units more to the left. Notice to determine how far left of 0 we are, we would add the absolute values of the decimals, which indicates we are now 2.5 units from 0 and to the left, and therefore the sum is negative 2.5. The formal rules include the idea of the absolute value. Because we're adding numbers with the same sign, the formal rules state add the absolute values and keep the original sign. The absolute value of negative 1 and 7 tenths is 1 and 7 tenths. The absolute value of negative 8 tenths is 8 tenths. And now we add. Notice the sum is 2.5 or 2 and 5 tenths, but because the original numbers were negative, the original sum is negative 2.5. Let's take a look at a second example. Here we have 1 and 7 tenths plus negative 2 and 2 tenths. Using the number line, we start at 0. For 1 and 7 tenths, we move right 1 and 7 tenths units. From here, because we're adding negative 2 and 2 tenths, from here we move left 2 and 2 tenths units. Notice this takes us to the left of 0. Notice to determine how far left of 0 we are, we would have to subtract the absolute value of 1.7 from the absolute value of negative 2.2. This would give us 0.5, but because we're to the left of 0, the sum is negative 0.5 or negative 5 tenths. And again, this idea is expressed in the formal rules. When adding numbers with different signs, we subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger absolute value, and then use the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. Negative 2 and 2 tenths has the larger absolute value. The absolute value is 2 and 2 tenths. The absolute value of 1 and 7 tenths is 1 and 7 tenths. This time, because the original signs were different, we subtract. The difference is 0.5 or 5 tenths, but because negative 2.2 or negative 2 and 2 tenths has the larger absolute value, the original sum is negative 0.5 or negative 5 tenths. I hope you found this helpful.